Welcome to the T-Bird Zone, streamed every week on SUTBirds.com and SUNews.com. We're in studio today with the head gymnastics coach, Scott Bauman, previewing the upcoming season for the gymnastics team. Obviously.
Hello.
Coach, welcome. Before we actually start getting in and talking about the season, let's talk about something the gymnastics team has been known for, which is academics. And it's not to discount their athletic achievements, which they're 4-time NCAA regional qualifiers as a team, but academically finishing second in the nation this year behind the academic rival, for lack of a better term, Southeast Missouri State.
Yeah.
Who just has a different GPA system. So
they do.
Yeah. So how pleased are you with the team finishing, that high again this season?
Well, we finished second last year, and it's nice, but that's not our goal. We actually think second in that category stinks for us because we want to be the #1 team, and we're always striving for that. And anything but that doesn't sit well with us.
Yeah, well, and the team has 11 national academic titles. So, I mean, it's a second place finish. That's nothing to sneeze at.
No, and we've finished in the top 3 every year I've been here. But, and we finished third like 3 times, and then second a bunch, and then first. But it's still, unless we're winning that, we don't feel like we've accomplished a lot.
All right. Let's talk about the upcoming schedule, because a lot of big-name schools on the schedule. Just to name a few: Missouri, Auburn, Nebraska, Michigan, and Washington. All 5 of those teams are in the top 26. Missouri's preseason ranked 26, Auburn 17, Nebraska 6, Michigan 10, and Washington 16. Are you actively going out searching for that best competition, win, lose, or draw?
Oh, yeah. We are for sure. And another team that could be mentioned on that is Boise State. I think they're ranked 13th or 14th, and they're coming in here as well. But, yeah, we'll meet a top 20 opponent just about every week, and that's what we strive for. And we want to compete against the best. We want to be up there with the best, and the only way to do that is to compete against them. So,
does that help maybe at the end of the year? People will seem to think, gymnastics, if you do this skill, you should get, that point value. But a lot of times it's, if you're at Stanford, that skill, it's the same skill as somebody at Southern Utah or Utah State, but because it's Stanford, they're getting the benefit of that doubt. Does facing these teams help at the end of the year of, they did those same skills against Nebraska, it helps at the regional level?
I think so. I think it prepares our team mentally for what we're going to meet at the regional championships and at the national championships, even at the WAC championships. And, the judging system, it's fairly it's fairly objective. I mean, granted, it's a subjectively scored sport, but I have seen the judges, they can't have a very huge impact on who's going to win, who's going to lose, because you have 2 judges in those seats. I've actually seen basketball officials have a far bigger impact on the outcome of a game with 1 or 2 bad calls than I have seen a gymnastics judge change the outcome of a meet.
Okay. Very true. And we're not bad-mouthing.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not bad-mouthing. No, but it's easy for them to fall into that if we're on the road and the home team's there. I mean, we got the benefit of that last year against UCLA. We had a very, very big home crowd. They were loud, and the judges, I think, responded to that just a little bit. That crowd really helped us out. So
back to scheduling a little bit. With these big-name teams, there's fewer NCAA Division I women's gymnastics teams than there are, say, basketball teams in the nation. Does that make it that more difficult to schedule those big-name opponents?
It does. I mean, we're a very strong team. We're typically in the top 20, top 25 year in and year out, and it's hard for a big school to justify scheduling us. We had Ohio State scheduled a couple of years ago, a home and away, and their administration said, well, who is Southern Utah and why are you competing against them, and get them off your schedule? And it's very hard because they have this, and even though in gymnastics we're very strong, and the year that we scheduled them, we could have probably potentially beaten Ohio State out there. They had a rough year and we had a great year, but it just, it's harder to do, but you still try to do this every year in and year out. You try to pull in great programs into Southern Utah because it's very difficult in most sports to get them here.
Well, and you've talked about University of Kentucky was scheduled to come out, University of Arizona was scheduled to come out, And having beaten UCLA at home last year, teams kind of started thinking, "Oh, that's not a gimme."
Yeah, that could be. I mean, that could be the case. I know the coaching at Kentucky changed, and I know that Mo and I had scheduled, but the new coach there didn't feel like he's going to go a different direction in his scheduling, and Arizona was going to come out when Missouri was here, but they didn't want to, and that's such a shame because those would have been two great programs to have walk through our doors.
Let's talk about a little bit how much of a luxury is it to have 3 in-state opponents in Utah State, University of Utah, and BYU, readily available bus trips. I know Utah State and BYU appear on the schedule quite a bit this year.
Yeah, we had to schedule BYU up there twice this year because we just didn't have enough home meets. We only have 4, and when Kentucky and when Fullerton dropped their program, we lost another home meet there. So we originally had 6 scheduled, but then we lost 2 of our home meets, and we needed another meet. We were just thinking we didn't have enough. So I called BYU and tried to get them down here, and they wouldn't do it. So we're just going up there for a meet, and we're joining Utah State and BYU up there again on a Saturday. So we'll go up there twice, but it was very, very gracious of them to do that for us. But Utah, that's kind of a nice thing, but we don't really get to schedule them that much. I mean, it would be great to get them down here, Greg, but we go up there when we can. So, and with them in the Pac-12, it's made it much more difficult for us to schedule them.
Particularly with them having now conference meets with Stanford, UCLA, Washington, Oregon States. And
right. We were originally scheduled to go up there this year, but they had when they joined the Pac-12, they had a meet scheduled with Stanford. The Pac-12 scheduled a meet with Stanford the same night that we were, so we got booted.
And that would be a tough one to compete with Stanford and Utah. And
oh yeah, that would be brutal.
Let's talk about our preseason ranking. We're ranked number 30th going into the year. That's the second highest in the state of Utah. University of Utah, I believe, is in the top 7, 8.
Yeah, they're right up there.
But we're ahead of BYU and Utah State. Do you feel that 30th ranking's a fair assessment of where the team is?
I do. I think it's a very fair assessment. I think we're actually ranked higher than we finished last year. We finished 33rd if you look at the national finals and everything after regionals. But we finished being ranked 30th is a good thing. We did lose a lot of the bulk of our competitive team last year, and that says a lot about the respect that the coaches have for our program out there.
You talked about the seniors that had departed, but really it's a reloaded team this year. You talked about the skills that were lost, but what has impressed you most about this squad coming back? This team coming back, they have been amazing to work with. All of the upperclassmen, all 7 of them, stayed the entire summer or most of the summer and worked out and pushed themselves and drove themselves very hard. And we are going to see the benefits of that. We're going to rely on our juniors and seniors for the bulk of our competition. And when you can rely on juniors and seniors for that, you're going to do fairly well. And we thought we were going to have a little bit of a tough year this year, but watching the team chemistry, watching the work ethic in that gym, it's been awesome. And this has been one of the very best teams I've ever coached as far as going in, getting our job done, getting our work done, and getting out of there, and without complaining. They're amazing girls to work with. You talked about at the coaches' luncheon on Monday, which are held every Monday at noon, that the upperclassmen, a lot of them would be competing in the all-around, meaning they're competing in all 4 events at any given meet.
Right.
Is there a danger in relying on having 4 or 5 all-arounders in a meet where each one is competing on all 4 events? It's kind of a strain as the year goes along.
Mentally and physically, that wears you out. That can wear those girls out. And we have certain meets throughout the year that we have designed rests for those girls. If like Brooks or Sasimo's in the all-around every single meet, we're going to have to pull her out for a couple of meets in 2 or 3 of the events just to let her rest, let her mind rest, and give somebody else a chance too, because we don't want to just rely on 5 girls throughout the year or even 6 or 7 girls. And we have 7 bona fide, very good all-arounders on this team, but we want to use everybody in there, give everybody a chance, and let the young ones get their feet wet in competition and stuff. So.
Well, and some talented newcomers, the freshmen that have signed this year, a lot of them are looking like they'll compete for spots in starting rotations. Talk
Without
about some of the
question.
freshmen and what your expectations are for each of them.
Well, I think Anna Jaworski, she's just this little teeny thing from California. She is she's a very solid all-arounder. Rochelle Bernier is a very solid all-arounder. Jamie Armillo is absolutely brilliant on 2 events. Carly Sigler is very solid on 2 events. And Brittany Jensen, very solid vaulter and floor worker. So Stacy Sorensen got hurt. She's going to be out for probably the rest of the year, but she had a horrible injury. She dislocated both elbows. It's awful. But she'll be back. She'll be good. She'll be strong.
Okay, very good. We'll be looking forward to the season. First meet is the Red-White scrimmage on January 10th. The first official meet, January 13th, here in the Centrum Arena. Coach, thanks for coming in this week.
You bet.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it. And again, you can watch the T-Bird Zone streamed every week on SUTBirds.com and SUNews.com. We'll be taking a 2-week break, but we'll see you once the new year rolls around. Thanks for joining us.